maybe more than social media itself, I take issue with Christian influencer culture.
Yeah.
Because
it makes me icky.
Yeah.
But I don't want to judge them either, because maybe it's necessary. Like, I don't know.
It?
Well, not necessary. It's obviously not necessary. But
I'm going to sound like a jerk this whole discussion.
No, let's do it. Let's try. I mean, what we're trying to do is we're trying to grasp at something that we all feel, and maybe we're going to fail to grasp it effectively, and then people can torch us in the comment section. That's okay. But
yeah. Well, would you call yourself an influencer? That's like
I wouldn't, but only because I'm a different generation.
Yeah. And I also think your platform, you host other people. Mm-hmm. And I think that does change things. It's long form discussion based, and you host
people are coming for these guests.
Yeah, you host other people, and you have seen evangelical fruit of what you're doing, right? Like conversion, right? Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, I don't know if it's like, I don't understand the new generation. Like, Thursday and my son are the same generation, and I have the same.
What generation is that? Gen
Z.
Yeah, I'm early Z, and your oldest is late Z.
What year were you born?
99.
Okay.
So I'm early Z, and then his oldest is late Z, probably the last Z. I think your second is definitely Gen Alpha.
I didn't even know there was a Gen Alpha. We just have a lot of discussions in my family about when does this begin? Because my husband's a millennial, and he says I'm not.
So my point is just that I have the same communication difficulties with Thursday as I do with Liam. Because like we think differently, we say things differently, and I know they probably get each other way more than I get either of them. Why am I saying this? Here's why. Because maybe people who are quote unquote influencers on Instagram are like using a language that I don't understand, and they've got the best of intentions, and it is drawing people into something. But I tell you, if I was a woman, which I'm not and can't be, but if I was, and I was a new mum, I'll tell you where I would stay clear from. And that's really gorgeous young Catholic women showing you how clean their kitchen is constantly.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'd kill myself.
And telling you how to be a mother.
Yes.
It pisses me off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I think...
but again, I don't... Like, it's not that I don't want to come off as judgmental. Because but I don't want to be that. Like, because maybe they are serving some beautiful purpose where they're teaching people who were never shown how to be a beautiful Catholic wife and mother.
Yeah, I think there's a potential for it to be catechetical for sure.
It feels icky.
And I think some people do it really well. I'm trying to think of an example of somebody who does it very, very well.
But I can't.
Yeah.
I
think I take issue with, there's like a lot of influencers around my age, and I have a daughter. I have
How old are you?
Child. I'm 25.
Am I allowed to ask that? I'm sorry.
No, I'm 25. Yeah.
I asked Roxy when she was on the show. She's like, you will never know. I'm like, cool.
Well,
next question.
Oops. Yeah, maybe we can edit that out. I don't know. Unless I don't know if people are going to like hate that I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, I'm 25.
That's their issue.
So yeah, I have one baby, and then I see a lot of influencers with 1 or 2 kids like telling me how to parent. And it's like, you don't know how this ends yet.
Yeah.
And what I find disturbing is like just the cycle of self-affirmation of like, if they get like, there is no taking of criticism, which is kind of like a narcissistic tendency, right? It's like, they cannot be criticized. Like I've had run-ins with influencers before, like personal run-ins. And perhaps I offered criticism uncharitably. That is a possibility. That wouldn't have been my intention, but you good?
Every time he touches cameras, they zap him.
Oh,
He's got like a weird superpower that we can't talk about.
You're Spider-Man.
But Greg was going to be very impressed with that.
I'm sorry, my brain is like so all over the place
today. This is great.
We're doing great.
This is another thing I love about long form discussions is we just chat for fun, and then we take out the clips that are interesting and release them.
Yes.
So there's no pressure.
Look at that.
Like if we talk long enough, something's going to be
Something
really
will
great.
be good.
It's already been great. But
thank you.
Yeah, no, okay. So like you're saying, like you encountered some quote unquote. So what is an influencer? What does that mean?
I think that's vague too.
But you just used the phrase. So what is a woman?
Yeah.
No, what is an influencer?
I think somebody who is influential on social media
and
maybe?
Trying to be and has some brand they're developing and growing.
Yeah.
And there's usually a line of makeup that's being promoted.
Always. Well, and that's another thing is I feel like there's a conflation. There's a self-affirmation circle of like, if I'm criticized, then, and when I've had those run-ins before, they treat criticism like you're criticizing God himself, which I think is really frightening. Like they over spiritualize the criticism where it's like, I had one person literally like accuse me of being like the voice of the devil. And I was like, wow, okay. Whew, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Didn't know I had that kind of power.
Yeah, I know. The next time I called like a friend of mine who I told about that interaction, she was like, "Oh, I don't take calls from the voice of the devil." Sorry, no, but yeah, I just think there's like a self-affirmation circle.
Maybe that's a response to the the sort of unfiltered criticism that people do receive on social media.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like people are like, "Hey, your hair looks stupid," or like, "Why is your nose so big?" People say things like that because they're awful.
Because they just can't.
But it's like all of our unfiltered thoughts, something you would never say to somebody after you heard them speak at a conference. You would never go up and say like, "That was good, but you seemed really anxious." No one would ever say that. Yeah. But like YouTube comment sections and Instagram comment sections, I'm sure, are filled with that kind of language, which I think just makes you, I don't know.
It just could have been a bad moment. Like, that's a good point. I think, where was my brain? I think there's a self-affirmation of like, I can affirm, like, because the platform is based on self-affirmation. And so like, here's all the things I'm doing right. And then when somebody criticizes you, you're like, oh, here's all the things I'm doing right. So you can pull yourself out of it.
Yeah. We often attribute the voice of reasonable criticism to Satan. Like, not today, Satan.
Yeah.
No, you just have a flat tire.
Yeah. Sometimes
you accidentally got decaf. Like,
yeah, you'll be fine. Your fault. Yeah,
it's your fault. What's that saying? Like, everything happens for a reason, and sometimes that reason is you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And make bad decisions.
It's usually me. It's usually my problems. Yeah. It's me. I think there's a conflation of like spirituality. Like here, I'm all about people promoting like, here's what it is to be a Catholic woman, because I think a lot of women and men are lacking mentorship. So I think there are women in the church who do that really beautifully. Like I have women that I look up to in the church who have
there's
a public
just so
life.
many pitfalls. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
There's just so many pitfalls.
And the women I look up to tend to not promote like their personal lives on social media. Like I love Abigail Favale, for instance.
Love that woman.
Love her. Yeah.
Big fan.
She endorsed my book and I cried. I was like, but
what did you do when I endorsed your book?
I didn't cry.
Gosh. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
You're the voice of Satan. Continue.
Yeah, basically. No,
how beautiful. What a lovely thing, because you've got someone here, Abigail Favale, who you respect.
Yeah.
And not only is she endorsing a book you wrote, but she's endorsing a book that is like you sharing your story.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I followed her work for a while, so it was lovely. Yeah. Or I think your wife does a beautiful job of sharing very vulnerably and very personally without like being irreverent towards the sacredness of your life, like your family's life, and like what should remain behind doors in your family.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys do a good job. Just such a new zone to navigate.
Yeah.
Because it's like you want to say things that you mean, but then to somebody it's like, well, that's you shouldn't share that much. It's like, okay, so I shouldn't share all that I mean, but just some. And then it's like you're being fake. It's like, oh, okay, well,
I can't imagine.
That.
Yeah.
So it's just this hard.
And it probably feels like the more personal like anecdotes you give, the more people feel like they have a claim to you and they feel like, they know you. And it's like, it's not always true, Yeah. It's like a false knowing. I think it's a weird thing. I can't imagine like navigating what you navigate. I think it's amazing. But
yeah. Do you have women who, who've also made the choice to just shut down social media?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's just a lot of hot wind. I mean, one of the things people were saying when I quit Twitter was like, but like at least just stay on there and promote the things that you're doing, which are doing a lot of good.
Yeah.
And deleting it was the best decision ever. And like, I realized it was doing nothing. Nothing. I thought it was doing a lot.
Yeah.
And I deleted it and nothing changed.
Kind of the heart of, I guess, my problem. And I'm sorry if I probably sound really like uncharitable, and I am still forming what I think about all this, and also like my views of social media are not Magdala's views. Like if we found out it was more fruitful to have social media, I would probably hop on it. I just have not seen evidence of that. I think it's changed evangelization potentially for the worse, because I think we don't know how to have like uncomfortable in-person conversations. I think we don't know how to like be content sometimes with the ordinary sphere around us of like, okay, I need to love my family and I need to love my friends and I need to evangelize within my community, and that's enough for God. And he can do something with that.
And often far more effective.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we get so attached to the idea of an online presence that we forsake those around us, even sometimes our own families.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Would you like this beautiful, very high quality, definitely not made in China, not that there's anything wrong with that, Pints with Aquinas beer stein for free? sent to your door? Would you also like a copy of The Jill sent to your door 4 times a year? This is the Pints with Aquinas newspaper, by the way. If you do, go to mattfradd.locals.com and become an annual supporter for any amount. We'll send you that stuff for free, and you get a bunch of other free things in return. You'll get more information by going over to mattfradd.locals.com. Thanks.